Hello everybody, I'm Mrs. Murata. I'm going to read you chapter 21. Thursday, March 22nd. Money saved $215.87. Toby looked a lot like his owner, Mr. Jacoby. They both had stubby noses, wide heads, and big jowls. They both made an odd ticking sound in their throats, too. Dogs often take after their owners, though. Napoleon, the Scottish Terrier, had a mustache, just like Mr. Spinoli. Dakota, the Afghan Hound, could have been Miss Preston's long-lost sister, if Miss Preston was a dog. Which means my dog would be the best and handsomest dog ever. I bet my dog would even play soccer. Toby was a bulldog with a major slobbering issue. I'm not sure if Mr. Jacoby slobbered too. He probably did. Toby was like a leaky faucet. Occasionally, he'd shake his head and spray saliva everywhere in big, thick, sticky droplets, so I had to be on my toes to avoid them. He walked faster than you'd think he could. I tried to pull the leash back, but I was no match for him. It was either keep up or be dragged. Whenever I told him to slow down, he'd cock his head to one side as if asking, "Really? You can't keep up? Are you kidding me? Look how short my legs are." Still, he was a great dog. Energetic, fun, friendly. Really, those might be the best sorts of dogs of them all, if you thought about it. When I yelled at him, he didn't seem to mind. He didn't listen either, but you can't have everything. Mr. Jacoby had warned me not to feed Toby anything. I guess he got sick easily. But we were here to walk, not eat, so I didn't worry about it. Just thinking about food made me hungry, though. It was really tiring jogging for so long, so when I passed the Wow Cow ice cream parlor and saw a kid about my age walking out the door with a vanilla ice cream cone, my stomach started growling. Ice cream is practically the best food ever made. I had money in my pocket. I needed to save every penny, but $2 wouldn't be the end of the world. Every now and then you have to treat yourself, right? Too bad there was a sign on the ice cream shop door that said "No dogs allowed." But at least there wasn't any glitter on the sign. I didn't know the kid with the ice cream cone, but he looked honest enough. He was tall with freckles, and I didn't see any scars. You should never trust people with scars. And he was eating vanilla ice cream. Bad people didn't eat vanilla. "Hey," I said with a friendly wave, "could you hold my dog while I grab a cone? It'll just be a minute." The boy sniffed. "I'll do it for $1. "It'll be just a few seconds," I replied. $1, he repeated, spitting. He was a tough negotiator, but it was only $1, and I really wanted ice cream, so I handed him the leash. "Pay in advance," he demanded, palm out. I grumbled, but I fished $1 from my pocket and handed it over. "Hold it tight, okay?" Yeah, the kid said, shaking his head. "I know how to hold a leash." As I walked away, I thought about telling the kid what Mr. Jacoby said about Toby's delicate stomach and all. Nah, what sort of irresponsible kid would feed someone's dog ice cream? I dashed inside. There were practically 1,000,000 flavors to choose from. I couldn't decide. So I asked if I could taste a dozen of them, including pistachio, almond, and cherries jubilee. I finally settled on Tin Roof, vanilla ice cream, chocolate-covered peanuts, and fudge ripple. It's practically heaven on a cone. Keep the change. I slipped the guy behind the counter $2. The price was $1.98. I felt generous. Ice cream will do that to you. When I stepped back outside, the freckled kid and Toby were still there. They hadn't moved, except Toby was the one with the ice cream cone now. The boy laughed while Toby ate it up. Toby loved it, too. I thought it was pretty funny until I remembered Toby's eating problems. Toby took a step back. The cone was all eaten. He didn't look very happy. "What's wrong with your dog?" asked the freckled kid. "How much did you give him?" I asked. The kid shrugged. "All of it?" Then Toby vomited all over the sidewalk and part of my shoe. "He has a weak stomach," I explained meekly. I tossed my own cone away. The smell of vomit would kill your appetite. Toby threw up again. "Are you okay, boy?" I asked him. In response, Toby belched. We walked home pretty slowly after that. Toby didn't feel like jogging anymore. I wasn't in a hurry to get back either. I was going to have a hard time looking Mr. Jacoby in the eye. "What's wrong?" asked Mr. Jacoby when we got back. Toby looked a little green. Then he burped again. "Your dog loves ice cream," I stammered, handing him Toby's leash and wiping the back of my shoe on his patio step. I didn't get a tip. My appointments were messed up again. I had an appointment with a new dog, Gaga. I showed up at exactly 5 o'clock. I was pretty proud that I was on time for once. "I needed you at 4 o'clock, fumed Mrs. Polanski. She shot me a frosty stare under slanted eyebrows. She held Gaga, a small, fuzzy white Havanese, in her arms. Normally, they're cute, happy dogs, but Gaga shared the same evil stare as her owner. She even had the same eyebrows. But then again, dogs do look like their owners. "I thought it was now," I blurted out. "Now is not 4 o'clock. Maybe you forgot to set your clocks ahead during daylight savings time a few months ago. Or is it moved them back? I always get confused." She closed the door on me, so I guess that wasn't it. But at least it meant I wouldn't be late for the 5:15 appointment that I had made and I had misread. It was with Buttercup, and she still annoyingly yapped and jumped the entire walk. After the dog party debacle, I was surprised Mrs. Linkletter even called me. I guess she recognized my dog walking excellence, even though she claimed I was the cheapest dog walker around and better than nothing. But I'd show her. I walked Buttercup extra long to impress her. Unfortunately, that meant I missed my next appointment, which I remembered about 2 hours after it was scheduled. I called to apologize, but the owner hung up on me. I guess I couldn't blame him, though. The new responsible Otto wasn't feeling very responsible. My flyers kept getting new customers, but many only used me once and never again. They said they needed someone who was more dependable. I was dependable, I told them. I just wasn't particularly good with addresses, or time, or money, but I was trying. That had to count for something, right? I needed Malcolm. Malcolm knew exactly how much to charge. He told me exactly where to go and when. That's a funny thing about being a boss. It doesn't do any good if you have no one to boss. But if you boss people too much, then they won't stick around to be bossed anymore. No wonder bosses make so much money. They need to get paid just to keep track of the whole thing. And I never tell Malcolm this, but I sort of missed hanging out with him. So I knocked on Malcolm's door after dinner. His mom answered and told me Malcolm was up in his room. I ran upstairs. He was doing homework. I was so far behind in my homework, I hated to even think about doing my own. So I tried not to. It was just depressing. "What do you want?" Malcolm snarled, looking from his desk. "What you doing?" I asked with a warm, casual smile, as if nothing had happened between us. "Homework. What do you think?" he replied. I stared at him for a moment, and he glared back. "Look, I'm sorry," I muttered softly, breaking the quiet. "What?" asked Malcolm. "You'll need to speak louder." "Sorry," I muttered again. "What?" "I'm sorry," I yelled. "I know I was too bossy." "You weren't bossy. You were an inconsiderate, egomaniacal, narcissistic turd brain." "I don't know what half those words mean," I admitted, "but I probably was." "Say them out loud." "I was an inconsiderate, egomaniacal, narcissistic turd brain." I sighed. "I was an inconsiderate, ego-something turd brain." "Close enough." Malcolm smiled, and his smile was the best thing that happened to me in days. I plopped down on his bed, relieved. "You could rejoin the business if you want." "No, thanks." "You could make lots of money." "No, thanks." I decided to throw pride out the window. I sat up and clasped my hands together. "Please, I can't do this alone. Everything is messed up. I need you to balance my books, make my appointments, tell me how much to charge. I'm a great dog walker. Well, maybe not great, but with my dog walking and your business savvy, there will be no stopping us. Maybe. Malcolm looked at me. His mouth curved from a smile to a frown, and then back up to a smile again. Fine. Okay, I'm in. But I want 25% of the profits this time. But that's more than half, I shouted. No, it's not. Fine, I relented. We shook on it, but I would have given him more than half the money to be my friend again. Not that I would have told him that. I know dogs are a man's best friend, but everyone needs a human best friend too. Having both is best of all. And that's the end of chapter 21. Bye.